Reserved list sales are up, but the prices are down. It's time to take a look at who's taking advantage of those amazing deals out there on another episode of Cards to Watch Reserved List Edition. In a bullish market, everybody wants a deal. Welcome back, everyone. MTG Moxman here. Thanks for hanging out with me on the channel today as we go over some amazing reserve list cards. Now, the state of the reserve list right now. The sales are very strong on the secondary market for a whole smattering of cards, a lot of them being low-end cards. Higher-end cards like dual lands are still selling at a steady pace, but haven't had nearly the drop-off in price. And in fact, a few of them have actually started going up. Now, when you see prices like this fall, when it's like a mini fire sale, there are going to be a few brave people out there who are going to make a lot of money because they're going to buy in at these lower levels. They don't care. They have strong liquidity. They already had a strong hand to begin with, and now they just get to expand their position on reserve list cards. These markets rebound. They go in cycles. It happens all the time. Look back at 2020 to that buyout. It was crazy. But we got near the end of 2021 and things had totally gone cold and stale. And as we sit right now, we know the sales are strong. Prices are down, but the sales on the cards themselves are actually quite strong, particularly in the lower end market cards. Now, a lot more of those are coming online and coming to market, so the price isn't sticking yet. But there are a lot of players out there who just enjoy collecting things, and they are building positions in these cards because they love that bragging rights of saying, I got a stack like this, just to say you have it. So let's go ahead and take a look at some amazing cards today, and I can't wait to see your comments in the comment section. Let's get to it. So the first card we're going to start out with today is going to be Mana Vortex from the Dark. Now, this is a 2 blue, 1 generic casting cost enchantment, and it reads, each player who controls land sacrifices 1 land during his or her upkeep. If at any time there are no lands in play, Mana Vortex is destroyed. If you do not sacrifice a land when Mana Vortex is cast, it's countered. Okay, when you look at this card, picture this in a game of Commander and you can just mess people up for fun. I've seen it happen a couple of times now with some friends, and yeah, we tagged up on them the second and third games we played because we saw how brutal this thing worked with all kinds of like other land destruction spells just nuking the whole board, and this person had a way of just going back over and over with things like Crucible Worlds and stuff and Ren and just getting lands back, and we couldn't keep pace. And eventually you just get overwhelmed with a whole bunch of like little weenies and stuff that come out of nowhere. So it's an amazing card to have, and we're talking $47. That's like buying an old Gnawbone right now. $47.56 US is a very affordable price, is the average. The market's $48, they're about the same, perfect. Now, overseas I get it, €45.52 is a lot of money to get that card into your house. Here in Canada, you're looking at about $60 Canadian for a near mint copy. This thing's come down so far. It's like 50% off. This is a good time to buy this card if you don't have one yet. At least buy one for yourself. I'm kind of the player who likes to have 4, but I can understand why somebody at least would buy 1 in case you ever decide to build this deck at some point or have some janky fun in a Commander match. People are not going to expect it. It'll blow people's minds. It's awesome. Now, our next card is going to be Knights of Thorn. Again, this is from the Dark, and it's come down massively in price from that high of $30 US all the way down to $14.14 is your average. That is crazy. Now, remember, this thing has protection from red and banding. It has a double positive. Yeah, it's a 4 casting cost. It's 1 white, 3 generic. This can go into a lot of decks, and protection from red is always a good thing to have nowadays, which we see less and less of. Adding this kind of card to a white build or white-blue build just gives you a little more versatility, not to mention it has banding, and throwing that ability in can just throw people off, especially if you're throwing like the Helm of Chasnook and stuff like that to give like an artifact that can give your guys banding. For $14, really, people don't see the advantages of that. I don't know why. Let that price keep falling. I think it's near the bottom of where it's going to be. But if it fell another, 2 or 3%, I mean, I'm tempted to buy a couple of copies myself. I have my playset, but part of me says this might be a good investment opportunity time. So our next card, we have Keljoran Outpost from Alliances. You know this is one of my faves from back in the day. I like making cheap 1/1 creatures. And this land does it for you. Yes, you got to sacrifice a plains when it comes into play, but you just got to tap it, 1 white and 1 generic, and you can make yourself a 1/1 every single turn. That is such a nice ability to have. We used to put this, of course, with cards like Crusade to get things going. It was a lot of fun, and it's still a good card to have around now inside Commander. The price, again, has come down from that $40, $50 level down to like $20 US. You can see the advantages of having a card like this, and if you're a Commander player, sure, you only want one. I get it. You want one for your Commander deck, perfect time. If you're going to go for a card like this, and it's this cheap right now, you really do have to play it smart and aim for a near mint copy. You'll be able to get a moderate played, a heavily played, even cheaper. Of course, like, if that's what you want to do, go ahead. But if you're thinking for future investment purposes, you got to go for the near mint. A lot of my data is pointing to the fact that cards from Alliances, Fallen Empires, the Dark, they're just all these older sets, including Mirage, Visions, people were kind of abusive to their cards. We started using sleeves around the 94 time, but people were still playing a lot on tables. So when this happened, a lot of these cards got damaged. So any future collector investor will be looking for the best card they can have. And if you're one of those people who buys it cheaper now, and when the cycle does go up, you've just saved yourself a few bucks and built yourself an investment with a card like that. Just saying, that's how I would play it out. Now our next card is Abeyance. This is one of my all-time favorites. I used to add this to orders, actually. When I was doing orders on eBay and stuff, the guy would say, if you had this much money, you could get free shipping. These were $1.99 back in the day. Okay, it says until end of turn, target player cannot, play spells or stuff that hurt you, spells or sorceries that affect you. They can only play creatures basically, and you get to draw a card. So it's pretty awesome. This is a very fun card to have around. There's a lot of uses for it. Of course, it is reserve list. The price is at the high was around $40 if I recall. I think it says that there too, but it might have been a little bit higher than that. You can see here, $18 is your average. So you're saving a lot of money right now on a card like this as well. And of course, the same rule applies. If you're going for it, you just want to play copy, definitely just go for a near mint. It's it's not going to cost any more than what I see right now. I've seen some cheaper ones for like $8, $9 on TCG Player. And if you guys are shopping on TCG Player, don't forget to use my affiliate link that is found inside the description of all my videos. It does help the channel out and lets me get cards for the channel. So I appreciate that, guys. For those who do it each and every time, thanks again. Let's go ahead and take a look at our next card today. Now this I'm just going to bring out as a point. This is Sulivans Legacy, okay? So it's an enchantment, but what we have here is a card that kills all the Freets and Djinns. With all the tribal themes that Wizards keeps bringing back up, a card like this can be absolutely brutal if they bring a whole big smattering of Djinn and Afrits back for any reason. We've seen the odd one here or there. They're never a major build inside decks, but when I saw squirrels get tribal support, and we see elves and goblins get more and more, and dwarves have started getting support, as Wizards branches out, and they have a history of doing this with other tribal support themes, they might go back to something like a Djinn or an Afrit. And cards like this can spike up, like we're seeing with Rashida Dragon's Bane. This can happen. So you might want to get a card like this for $2.50. Just get the near mint copy, at least get one. You might just be saving yourself a lot of hassle and problems. Or just spend $10 and get a play set of 4. It makes perfect sense. This card is at the bottom level. It's not going any lower than this. It's basically where it was back in 2021 before it spiked up. And look how far it's fallen, guys. It basically came smashing down. This is the time, because some other people took the hits. You won't have to. Now, our next card is going to be Lure of Prey. Interesting card. I saw this actually played a couple of times in some older school decks with some friends. It's not my favorite card. I'll be honest. It's not my favorite card. But it is reserve list. People don't expect it. It is an instant. It says, if your opponent successfully casts a spell, you can pay this 4 mana and put this out. But imagine putting out a giant creature like an Earthquake Dragon. The green has such mammoth beasts now that putting a card like this in to kind of spike things out, you add Eureka and stuff to a deck you're building, whatever you're doing, to creep your creatures out without people knowing, monstrous compendium and stuff, you can build a very overpowered, super high-end monster deck with every creature just being scary. Like, we got Vorinclex, we have so many things you can put in there now that a card like this probably has some play value at this point. It probably won't be expected. It'll have some fun, and a card like this could see future returns. It's a little more expensive. It's around the $6 US mark, about $8 here in Canada. But again, if you look how far it's fallen, we're basically back to the base level of this card. So if somebody else has already gone through 2 or 3 years of carrying the costs, it might be time to get 4. Again, aim for near mint, but I just see some potential there, possibly. My gut told me to get 4, so I got 4 myself. I didn't have any. All right, guys, our next card, Malignant Growth. Oh, what a horrible card. I understand why people don't like this card. Nobody likes the cumulative upkeep. I get it. But when you look at a card like that and see the potential of what it can do to you, that's where the fun comes in. Mirage card, not super powerful unto itself, but depending on how you build your deck, cards like this can be a lot of fun. And when it's this cheap, again, a playset of 4 is like $4, $5. You're not going to go wrong. At the same time, do I think it'll go lower? No, it's about 50 cents off its all-time low. So you guys can decide on that one. I'm not asking people to invest in this thing. I'm just saying, if you don't have this card and you might want to build with those colors, it could be fun. Okay, next one, Forbidden Ritual. This one I bought 4 of right away. Okay, and I'm thinking of it in different terms. It is a 2 black, 2 other. Okay, instant, right? Sorcery, sorry. And it says, sacrifice a card in play. So I gotta read it closer. Target opponent loses 2 life unless he or she sacrifices a permanent, chooses and discards a card. You may repeat this process as many times as you like. Did you hear me? As many times as you like. Think about the D&D dragons that make treasure tokens. The D&D dragons that make 1/1 fairy creatures. Think about your opponents. When you attack with a dragon, they don't expect this to come out. You cast this on your turn and then attack with a dragon. Or you have dozens of, treasure tokens out for some other reason, and you just start sacking them one at a time, watching your opponents lose everything, and when they have nothing left, they just start taking damage over and over. If you can do this thing 15, 20 times, that's 30, 40 damage right there. And it's not that hard to do. And this card's $3. So yeah, this is going on my Throw Bowl deck because, of course, I have a lot of token generation. So I couldn't help myself. It's just one of those cards I say, the way Wizards is designing some of these new cards for Commander, this thing has playability. All right, our next card is Hall of Gemstones. Now get this, I bought this card at $50. I bought it at the high. Look where it's at right now. $21, are you serious, for Mirage? And each turn the player chooses the color that all the mana on the lands will produce. It's 2 green and 1 other. Guys, that's crazy. This thing should not be this low. I'll be honest. You can see why it's an amazing card. Players aren't really playing with it a lot, but there's ways of making this thing get unsummoned, right? There's ways of bouncing this back when it's going to affect you and you don't like it. You can mess people up with this card. Oh, phasing is so good. Guys, pay attention to cards like this. They're so awesome they shouldn't be ignored, and I can't say enough good things about a card like that. $21? This thing should be $100 by now. But you know what? That's okay. Somebody else's loss is my gain. All right, our next card, Zubri, the Golden Feather. And I've mentioned this card lots of times on the channel, guys. Not the first time this thing's come up. Again, it's baselined out. We're talking $5, okay? It's flying, and other griffins, right? He counts as a griffin himself, but all other griffins get +1/+1. So he doesn't give himself the +1/+1 like a Thrall champion. But there's a lot of griffins in the game. And again, every set or two, they seem to add a few griffins in. If we get griffin support, you see where I'm going with this? Cards like this could have a home. And you could be the one controlling it if you wanted to by spending, I don't know, what, $20 and getting 4? Even if it's a cheap investment 10 years from now. You don't know, maybe it'll go nowhere. But for $20, I'm willing to bet a few bucks and see how that card turns out. All right, let's take a look at our last card today. And that is going to be Fairies Realm. Now, this is a 2 blue, 1 generic enchant world. Remember the old good old enchant worlds? That's from back in the day. It says, at the beginning of each player's upkeep, that player chooses artifacts, creatures, lands, or global enchantments. All cards of that type phase out. Now, that's the beginning of each player's upkeep. So, I used to see this thing used with Time Elemental, right? People were bouncing it and borrowing it. I can only imagine, and we didn't really have Commander back then. I can imagine how a card like this, built in the right construction, the right type of deck, inside Commander, would just be hilarious because nobody's going to expect it. And if you can build around it, you could have a really good time messing with people with phasing. And this is making everybody's stuff phase, so they can make their lands all phase out so their stuff can't get countered. I can just picture stuff happening that would be so much fun to see in a game. So I'll leave that one with you guys. You can decide. At $5 US, we're not talking a massive investment of money to get cards like this. I didn't put any massive cards on the list today. I wasn't putting dual lands. You guys know about those cards. But when you see the lesser known cards, and remembering this game is a game to have fun and to play with. And when I see prices dropping this low, I see opportunity. Long-term opportunity, I agree, it's going to be 5 years, 10 years, or maybe never. But some of these cards, even I'm willing to take a bet on, and I already have. I can't help myself. They're just so good sometimes. So guys, thanks a lot for tuning in today. Love to see your comments in the comments section. If you're new to the channel, make sure you give this video a thumbs up and let me know what's going on. And for all the new subscribers to the channel, welcome aboard. And my regular viewers, you already know how awesome you are. I wouldn't be here without you. You guys have a great day today, and I'll see you all tomorrow for the regular edition of Cards to Watch. And of course, a big shout out goes out to all the fantastic patrons on the channel. Thanks again for that continued support. Welcome to all the new patrons on the channel. I'll be switching the names soon for you, don't worry. Well, well, well. Welcome back, my friends, to the end. You special people. You know who you are, hanging out with me at the end of the videos. Only a few of you guys remember to do that, huh? Most people never make it that far. It's kind of funny, actually. But you're the special ones who make it that far. Don't worry. I know who you are. Because in the comment sections, when I put that wording, you guys never let me down. Anytime. I love it. I love it! And we're getting closer. We're counting that puppy down. 10K before you know it, guys. All these new subscribers. Hey, oh, almost fell over. I had an itchy foot for a second. Yeah, I almost fell. I'm scratching my foot right now. Can't help myself. This is the after show. Whatever happens here just happens. Except for it's always clean. You guys know that. Got to keep it clean. It's the way it should be. Like in real life, like online. The way it's got to be done. You guys are awesome. Thanks a lot for hanging out. I hope you enjoyed the video today. Keep everything trucking along throughout your week. Anything else I got to add? Keep thinking I'm forgetting something sometimes, and I just can't remember it. But it's too late. We'll check tomorrow's video. You never know what's going to happen. I'll see you guys then.